Hello everyone, in this video today I'm going to go into a topic that has been big in the news here in Australia. Now, in the first introduction video I made a few weeks ago for this channel, I stated that I was born and bred here in Australia, but not wanting to disclose my actual location. However, for the purpose of this video and for this channel in general, I am now willing to disclose that I do live in southeast Queensland. I was born in another state, that being Western Australia. However, since 2005 I've been living here in southeast Queensland. So that brings me to the topic of this video, which is the cyclone we had recently. Now, it's actually this day a week ago, on the 6th of March, that Brisbane, or the whole of southeast Queensland pretty much, including northern New South Wales, were preparing for the cyclone Alfred. Now, our state government, I don't have anything to say about them other than they did a brilliant job in preparation for us. Now, they were given the geology of southeast Queensland, Brisbane. There's a lot of island communities and a lot of people live on those islands, and they were actually given the opportunity to evacuate those islands if need be, which some did. Now, I have heard criticism elsewhere on YouTube of these people claiming that they were being difficult or, not really wise in choosing to stay. I just wanted to quickly address that, in that there is people that live on the islands around Brisbane on the coast that basically don't have anywhere else to go. They don't have people on the mainland to stay with, friends or family. So it wasn't a matter of them being pig-headed about it. It was more of a case of they literally couldn't go anywhere else. So anyway, back to the actual cyclone. Now, where I am on the coast, and we lost our power would have been about 3:30 in the afternoon, and thankfully I just had a coffee. However, as it turns out, the power stayed off for 6 days. Now, that was the beginning of it, of course, and on the Friday, by the early hours of Friday morning, the wind gusts were, I'm not sure the exact amount of kilometres they were, but they were pretty horrendous, and my house here that I have copped a pelting. Thankfully there was no structural damage, but the winds were the worst I've ever experienced in my life. Now, there has been some criticism from people downplaying this cyclone, saying that it was just nothing but a glorified storm. And yes, it did end up at worst being, if I recall correct, or if I'm correct, category 2 at worst. However, I don't believe there's any sense in downplaying things, because at the time when it first became a threat, there was no telling what it would do. So yeah, if it did end up being, less severe than what it initially was said to be, then that's a great thing. But I personally don't see the sense in being critical and downplaying things, because it could have been far worse than that. Now, with this storm, it was yeah, it did cause a lot of disruptions for people, especially a lot of the people lost power, and the state energy provider, or the main arm called Energex, did really well trying to get people back on board with the electricity. So they had to be congratulated for the mammoth effort that they did to help people recover, and also the Premier and where I live, our state member, who is a she did an outstanding job, and was literally in the pelting rain giving updates on what was going to be happening for us and our community, which I can't give anything but praise for that. Now, I was very blessed in terms of, because I'd lost electricity, I had to throw out a lot of my food. All my frozen food had to go, and obviously milk had to go. However, there was one person that offered me a meal because they temporarily had power, and then ironically the power went off while I was there, but at least I got to have a meal. And there was another friend of mine where I live who gave me somewhere to go to charge my phone, and also the first person I mentioned that fed me, they also let me charge my phone, and this next person let me go down and charge my phone because they were one of the first people to get their power back. And I not only was able to charge my phone, but also have much needed cups of coffee and even a beer, which was really good. And then on bringing it all together, my power ended up coming back on yesterday afternoon. However, that was Wednesday. So Tuesday night I had another offer of somebody that lives off grid, that they had just cooked up some barbecue drumsticks, and I got the kind offer to go over there and they fed me. So the community I live in has some really wonderful people in it. Now, like I mentioned just before, I thankfully was able to get my power back yesterday after 6 days, and I just want to say that it was an experience, and I certainly didn't complain in word or thought. I accepted it for what it was, and it did teach me a lot about how we're so reliant on technology and electricity, and obviously not just for ways to cook meals, but for entertainment and for a whole other aspects too. However, I was basically, it was all came down to literally just myself and my thoughts and my faith in my belief system, and that's what got me through. And I'm just thankful that apparently they have said that this Cyclone Alfred is a once in a 50-year event. So for a lot of us that are over the age of say 30, we'll probably never get to experience another cyclone if we living here. However, we made it through, and it was I can't say I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed, and I really don't wouldn't want to go through another one, of course. However, here we are, and the sun's out again, and life goes back to normal. And as far as I'm aware, there was no as far as I know personally, there was no lives lost, and people I do know had slight damage to their property where they live. I didn't really have any damage, however, yeah, I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that was an experience to go through a cyclone, my first cyclone ever, because where I grew up, it's not really a cyclone area because it's too far south. So, but here is here is, like I said, southeast Queensland. It's not really the tropics, however, it is the subtropics, so it's still within that realm. And yeah, I'm just glad that we can go back to normal again and have a bit of sunshine, which I prefer. So anyway, if you've watched this, I hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, you take care. Thank you.